What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. Today, we are going to talk about Lamar Jackson. And listen, I think we have to have somewhat of a candid conversation. Nick and I, we're going to discuss and we're going to break down what we've seen throughout his time, both in the regular season and the postseason. And then we're going to let you know what we think the Ravens should do. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. All that and much more coming your way right now. All right, Nick.
Oof,
Lamar
man.
Jackson has shown up again. Not the one from the first playoff game,
Mm.
but the Lamar Jackson we have come to know and underappreciate or
Hmm.
overappreciate for
Overappreciate,
some of
yeah.
us. Yeah. Um, I want you to get us kicked off with this, but I guess the question has to be asked. Is Lamar Jackson really the right choice to lead the Baltimore Ravens? Can he get them over the hump?
Listen, I mean, it's been 3 years for Lamar so far with the Baltimore Ravens, and he hasn't improved whatsoever. Look at Josh Allen, who's identically the same age, been in the league the exact same amount of time, played the exact same amount. Josh Allen has improved every single year he's been in the league. His team is still in the playoffs fighting for a Super Bowl right now. Lamar Jackson has had to rely on his legs, his athleticism, his defense. He just can't do it with his arm, and that's fine. This is the problem so many scouts and GMs had with him coming into the draft and why he fell so far in the first round. He would have been a higher draft pick if he could throw the ball better, if he could make better decisions. But he's struggling right now. And I'm not trying to beat a man while he's down after he just got injured in this past game. No, this is just trying to bring light to what we see as outsiders, as people who are not fans of the Baltimore Ravens. It's time to take the blinders off, Baltimore Ravens fans. It's time to see that Lamar Jackson and that experiment has run its course. It's over. If we go back to the playoffs, these are the stats that Lamar Jackson put up in his third time in the playoffs, right? In 2 games, he went 31 of 48, throwing 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. This man threw more touchdowns to the opposing team than he did to his own. I get it. Lamar, he made some spectacular plays with his legs, but you have guys like Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown who were balling out, getting great separation, doing amazing things for the Baltimore Ravens. But Lamar just can't get the ball to them when he needs to. He can't make the quick decisions. He can't go through a quick read progression. He can't figure out an NFL style defense. It's too far above his head. There's been absolutely nothing that has improved in his game that is giving me any hope for him in the future, for him to improve, to see that he could bring the Ravens to a Super Bowl one day. That's his hopes and dreams, but it seems like that's all it's going to stay.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough. Rushing quarterbacks tend to struggle throwing the football because from their entire lives, Pee Wee all the way up through college, they have been able to rely on their athleticism to get them ahead. And Lamar Jackson is learning and should have learned by now that can only get you so far. I mean, you're not going to face the Cincinnati Bengals twice in the postseason. You're not going to face some of the worst teams in the league a couple times a year. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So when they get to face some of the best, that defense is doing absolutely everything they can. And for Lamar Jackson to frankly not really be able to do his job, it really leaves a sour taste in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw from the backup quarterback Huntley when he came in, listen, the stats were decent, but he threw the ball so much better than Lamar Jackson. It was almost like a reprieve for Willie Snead and Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews and some of these guys, the guys that have to catch this ball. It. I understand that Buffalo had a lot of wind, and even Josh Allen was overthrowing, but you got to correct it at some point. I mean, you're a professional. You are getting paid millions of dollars to be a quarterback in this league. Wind cannot be the issue. It just can't. And I believe that we have seen some of the best that Lamar Jackson has to show, but I think this is the absolute best he can ever be. And I'm looking at a guy who is 1-3 in the playoffs. He has thrown 3 touchdowns to 5 interceptions in 4 games. 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 4 games. It's just unfathomable that a playoff quarterback, a playoff team, can put this guy out there and try to rely on him. He is single-handedly screwing over this franchise, and I think I'm with you, Nick. I believe that the Baltimore Ravens either need to bring in somebody who can throw the ball and use him as more of like a Taysom Hill type of, dual threat weapon, or they need to simply just move on. I think his athleticism should be utilized in some way, shape, or form. But as of right now, Lamar Jackson cannot be the starting quarterback on a playoff team. He just cannot.
Yeah, Lamar absolutely has what it takes to play in the NFL. There is a role for him for sure. But
Right.
like you said, maybe it's time to move on, and this is the perfect time. There's so many rumors about what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, what's going to happen with Tua, what's going to happen with Sam Darnold, all these quarterbacks in the draft. There's a lot of opportunities here for the Baltimore Ravens to pick up right where they are and just fix the quarterback position. If you fix him, they have weapons. This defense is ready to go. This is a Super Bowl contending team right now if you get the right quarterback in there. I believe that the Baltimore Ravens need to make the switch. It's a tough decision because it's Ozzie Newsome's last choice. He's the guy who he believes will bring the team to another Super Bowl. And the Baltimore Ravens love Ozzie Newsome and everything he did for the organization. And they're not... They have the blinders on. In all seriousness, they just have the blinders on. You gotta just look at the stats. When you have a quarterback averaging 170 yards a game passing, that's not gonna cut it. That's absolutely not gonna cut it. And when I see guys like Marquise Brown out after the game saying, I'm upset about my target share, about the passing game in general by this team, I don't blame him whatsoever. He should be upset because he is doing everything he possibly can. What I see from him is unbelievable. The amount of balls that are out in front of him or over his head is just unbelievable. This guy gets unreal separation. He really is just like Antonio Brown. And I believe that if he has the right quarterback, he can be an elite wide receiver in this game. Mark Andrews is an elite tight end in this league and can be so much better than he already is if he has another quarterback at the helm. I think the Baltimore Ravens need to start looking.
I mean, the Ravens have a future, but they need to answer this quarterback question. And listen, I'm not here to hate on the guy. I really don't
No.
hate him. I actually like Lamar Jackson as a person. I think he's a really good dude. For those of you who don't know, he stayed after, at the airport to sign autographs and was, was talking with some of the younger fans and everything. I think that's an absolutely incredible move, especially with the way things are in today's world with, COVID and everything else. He took the time to socialize with the fan base, and I think that is remarkable. And he's a good leader. I believe that the Baltimore Ravens believe in him because he believes in himself. I think that his skill set is just too limited unless he can actually figure out a way to work on that throwing mechanic. I just don't think he's fixable at this point in time. I think the Baltimore Ravens have to look at either making a trade for somebody like Sam Darnold or whoever the case is, but they need somebody who can actually throw the ball under center.
I think the least that the Baltimore Ravens can do at this point, the team is pretty much set. You have all the pieces you could pretty much need. Fix up the offensive line a little bit, yeah. But I believe that if they can get a quarterback in the first round, if one of the good quarterbacks falls to them, take a shot on them. At worst, it's going to push Lamar to become better. He doesn't have a threat in the quarterback room to push him to be better. And that's exactly what he's missing. They got rid of Joe Flacco right away. That was his biggest threat. He doesn't have anybody to learn from anymore. He
Right.
needs, if he doesn't have anybody to learn from, at least get him somebody that's going to push himself, to drive himself. He may mentally believe that he's there, he's ready to put in the work, but when it comes to doing it, he doesn't show up.
I think the Ravens definitely have something in that Tyler Huntley kid. I liked what I saw. I looked at his stats. I mean, again, he was only in there for a very short amount of time, but he was 3 of 5 for 15 yards, and he ran the ball really well, and he was moving it a lot. He just looked much more accurate, and if he had had the opportunity, it seemed like that offense kind of got kickstarted underneath him, and obviously it was a little too late. But I think that if a player like Huntley can come in and push Lamar Jackson to be better, I think that can possibly help them. But again, I just believe that in my heart of hearts, I just believe that Lamar Jackson cannot be fixed at this point.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what the Baltimore Ravens do going into this offseason, what positions they are going to fix. They're going to lose some pieces. Judon, Ngakoue, we're going to see what pieces they try to re-sign. I mean, it's an interesting offseason with the salary cap most likely going down. Teams are going to have to make tough decisions. And this team clearly needs to improve, but how are they going to improve it? In which manner? So it's going to be one to watch out for.
That is for sure. All right. Well, I appreciate you all watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video. Make sure to check out our channel for other videos like this. We post every single day. Hit the notification bell to be notified every time we go live. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day.